Qur'an Chapter 31 Surah Luqman by Sayyid Qutb. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Alif, Lam, Mim. These are the verses of the wise book, a guidance and a mercy for those who excel in doing good, those who are constant in prayer, who give in charity, and who have firm faith in the hereafter. It is they who are on true guidance from their sustainer, and it is they who shall prosper. But among humankind there are those who indulge in idle talk, seeking to lead others astray from the path of God without any knowledge, and who mock it. For these there is a humiliating torment. And whenever our messages are conveyed to such a one, he turns away in arrogance, as if he had not heard them, as though there were a deafness in his ears. So give him the tidings of a painful chastisement. Verily, as for those who have attained to faith and do righteous deeds, theirs shall be gardens of bliss, therein to abide. This is God's true promise, and He alone is almighty, wise. He created the heavens without any pillars that you can see, and He placed firm mountains on the earth, lest it sway with you, and He spread across it all manner of living creatures. And we sent down water from the sky, and with it we caused every noble kind of plant to grow. This is God's creation. So show me what those you worship besides Him have created. Nay, the wrongdoers are lost in manifest error. And indeed we granted Luqman wisdom, saying, Be grateful to God. For whoever is grateful for the benefit of his own soul, and whoever is ungrateful, then surely God is free of all need, ever praiseworthy. And remember when Luqman said to his son, while admonishing him, O my dear son, do not associate anything with God. Surely associating partners with Him is a great wrong. And we have enjoined upon man care for his parents. His mother carried him in weakness upon weakness, and his weaning is in 2 years. We said, Be grateful to me and to your parents. To me is the final return. But if they strive to make you associate with me that of which you have no knowledge, then do not obey them. Yet accompany them in this world with kindness, and follow the path of those who turn to me. Then to me will be your return, and I will inform you of what you used to do. O my dear son, even if it be the weight of a grain of mustard seed, and it be hidden within a rock or in the heavens or in the earth, God will bring it forth. Truly God is subtle, all aware. O my dear son, establish prayer, enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, and bear patiently whatever may befall you. Verily, this is something requiring firm resolve. And do not turn your cheek in arrogance toward people, nor walk proudly upon the earth. Truly, God does not love the self-conceited and boastful. And be moderate in your pace, and lower your voice. Truly, the most repugnant of sounds is the braying of donkeys. This Qur'an has been sent down to address the human nature, appealing to its innate logic and reason. It has been revealed by the one who created this nature, who knows what is good for it, what will purify it, and how to address it in a way that touches its depths and pathways. It comes to present to this nature the truth embedded within it from the beginning, a truth it has always recognized, even before being called to it through this Qur'an. For this nature was created upon the foundation of acknowledging the existence of the Creator, worshipping Him alone, and turning to Him along with the entire universe, which glorifies and praises its sustainer. Yet this pure nature is often veiled by layers of earthly smoke, overwhelmed by the surging tides of flesh and blood, and swayed off its path by the impulses of desire and passion. Here, the Qur'an comes to speak to this nature in the language it understands, to present to it the truth it has forgotten, in a style it is familiar with. It lays down, upon the foundation of this truth, an entire way of life, one that is aligned with belief, harmonious with the innate nature, and straight upon the path toward the one Creator, the all-knowing, the all-wise. This Meccan surah is a shining example of the Quranic method in addressing the human heart. It deals with the matter of faith in the hearts of the polytheists who have deviated from that truth. It is the same fundamental issue that the Meccan surahs address in diverse styles and from varying perspectives, encompassing the human heart from all directions and touching its facets with countless influences that awaken the innate nature and bring it back to life. This single issue, the matter of faith, is summarized here in the oneness of the Creator, worshipping Him alone and showing gratitude for His blessings. It also emphasizes belief in the hereafter, with its precise reckoning and just recompense, and the necessity of following what God has revealed, abandoning all other traditions and beliefs. The surah presents this matter in a way that calls for deep reflection to understand the Quranic style, which is wondrous in its ability to address the innate nature and touch the hearts. Every caller to God must ponder this style with care. The surah presents its themes within the Quranic framework of the vast universe, its heavens and earth, its sun and moon, its day and night, its winds and seas, its waves and rains, its plants and trees. This cosmic framework is repeatedly invoked in the Quran, turning the entire universe into a speaking sign, a vibrant witness to faith, addressing the human heart, stirring it and guiding it to the path. Although the central issue remains the same, and the cosmic framework is consistent, the surah presents it 4 times in 4 distinct rounds. Each round takes the human heart on a journey through this expansive domain, bringing new influences each time, employing a fresh style of presentation and engagement. These rounds unfold in succession, beginning and ending in a wondrous manner that delights both the heart and the intellect, while evoking powerful emotions and calling for a heartfelt response. The first round. The first round begins after the opening of the surah with the disjoined letters, "These are the verses of the wise book, a guidance and a mercy for those who excel in doing good." It affirms that these verses come from the same letters known to humankind, yet they constitute the miraculous book. It is a source of guidance and mercy for those who beautify their deeds with excellence, those who establish prayer, give in charity, and have firm faith in the hereafter. Thus, it establishes belief in the hereafter and devotion to God, accompanied by a subtle psychological influence. It is they who are on true guidance from their sustainer, and it is they who shall prosper. And who would not desire to be among the prosperous? On the opposite side stands a group of people who indulge in idle talk to lead others astray from the path of God without knowledge, mocking His signs. For them, the surah delivers an appropriate psychological blow, fitting to their mockery. For these there is a humiliating torment. It then describes their behavior, and whenever our messages are conveyed to such a one, he turns away in arrogance, as if he had not heard them, as though there were a deafness in his ears. This description comes with another psychological influence that belittles them, as though there were a deafness in his ears. And it adds yet another, one that frightens them with a tone of sarcasm. So give him the tidings of a painful chastisement. The word tidings here carries a clear note of irony. The surah then returns to the believers, elaborating on their prosperity, which was briefly mentioned at the beginning. It describes their reward in the hereafter, just as it had described the punishment of the mockers and arrogant ones. Verily, as for those who have attained to faith and do righteous deeds, theirs shall be gardens of bliss, therein to abide. This is God's true promise, and He alone is almighty wise. Here, the surah unveils the vast domain of the cosmos as a stage for evidence that addresses the innate nature from all sides, speaks to it in every language, and confronts it with the overwhelming truth that people so often neglect. He created the heavens without any pillars that you can see, and He placed firm mountains on the earth lest it sway with you, and He spread across it all manner of living creatures. And we sent down water from the sky, and with it we caused every noble kind of plant to grow. Faced with this overwhelming evidence in the natural world, the surah seizes the hearts of those who wander astray, who ascribe partners to God while witnessing His immense and majestic creation. This is God's creation, so show me what those you worship besides Him have created. Nay, the wrongdoers are lost in manifest error. At this point, with its profound and majestic cosmic rhythm, The first round concludes having presented its themes and influences within the vast arena of the universe. Thus begins the second round. It delves into the depths of human souls, addressing the very same truth and the very same domain, yet in a new style and with fresh, compelling influences. And indeed, we granted Luqman wisdom. But what is the nature of this wisdom, and what is its unique manifestation? It is epitomized in the turning of one's heart to God in gratitude. Be grateful to God. For this is wisdom itself, this is the path of the wise. The next step follows naturally. Luqman turns to his son with counsel, a father's wise advice to his child. It is advice free from flaw, for the one offering it has been endowed with wisdom. It is counsel beyond reproach, for who could question the sincerity of a father's advice to his son? This counsel reaffirms the truth of divine oneness, as established in the first round, while also addressing the reality of the hereafter. It is infused with profound psychological influences, coupled with new elements of persuasion. And lo, Luqman said to his son, admonishing him, O my son, do not associate anything as equal with God, for truly associating others with him is a great injustice. And to reinforce this truth further, another influence is introduced, the tender and compassionate bond of parenthood. And we have enjoined upon man care for his parents. His mother carried him in weakness upon weakness, and his weaning is in 2 years. Gratitude to God is here intertwined with gratitude to one's parents, placed even before it. Give thanks to me and to your parents. Yet the foundation of all faith is clarified. The bond of belief is the foremost bond, surpassing even the ties of kinship and blood. And though this bond of family is imbued with affection and strength, it remains subordinate to the ultimate bond of faith. But if they strive to make you associate with me that of which you have no knowledge, do not obey them. Yet accompany them in this world with kindness and follow the path of those who turn to me in devotion. The discourse then reaffirms the reality of the hereafter. Then to me is your return, and I will inform you about what you used to do. This is followed by a majestic influence, one that stirs the human soul to its very core. It depicts the unfathomable vastness, precision, and all-encompassing knowledge of God in a cosmic frame. O my son, indeed, if it be the weight of a mustard seed, and it be hidden within a rock, or anywhere within the heavens or the earth, God will bring it forth. Truly, God is subtle, all aware. Luqman continues his advice, moving toward the responsibilities of faith, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and enduring with patience whatever hardships may arise in the path of faith. For such challenges inevitably confront the bearer of belief as they move beyond their own self to engage others. And be patient over whatever befalls you. Truly, this is among the matters requiring resolve. And alongside the call to righteousness and patience in adversity, Luqman emphasizes the etiquette befitting one who invites to God, humility and gentleness, avoiding arrogance that corrupts what sincere words have sought to mend, and do not turn your cheek in scorn toward people, and do not walk upon the earth with insolence. Truly, God does not love the arrogant and boastful. Be moderate in your stride and lower your voice, for truly the most detested of voices is the braying of donkeys. Here the psychological effect of belittling arrogance and pride is evident in the expression itself. Thus concludes this second round, having addressed the same essential truth within its familiar domain, yet with new influences and a fresh style. The third round begins presenting the same truth within the realm of the heavens and the earth, accompanied by influences drawn from humanity's relationship with these heavens and earth, and the blessings God has subjected to their service, though they remain ungrateful. Do you not see that God has subjected to you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth, and has lavished upon you his blessings, both visible and hidden? Yet among mankind are those who dispute about God without knowledge, without guidance, and without an illuminating book. Amidst this influence, disputing about God appears utterly alien to human nature, repugnant to upright hearts. The narrative then continues to denounce the stance of disbelief and obstinacy. And when it is said to them, follow what God has revealed, they say, Rather, we will follow what we found our forefathers adhering to. Such a stance is foolish and blind, and it is followed by a terrifying influence, even if Satan is inviting them to the torment of the blaze. Thus, the discourse ties the reality of the hereafter to the truth of faith and disbelief. Whoever submits his face to God while doing good has grasped the most trustworthy handhold, and to God belongs the ultimate outcome of all matters. As for those who deny, the prophet is consoled. And whoever disbelieves, let not their disbelief grieve you. To us is their return, and we will inform them of what they did. Truly, God is all-knowing of what is in the hearts. Here, the boundless and precise knowledge of God is invoked. God knows the secrets of the hearts. This is accompanied by a dire warning. We grant them enjoyment for a little while, then we will drive them to a severe torment. As this round approaches its conclusion, they are brought face to face with the logic of innate human nature as it confronts the vastness of creation, leaving no choice but to acknowledge the one supreme creator. If you were to ask them, who created the heavens and the earth, they would surely say, God. Say praise be to God, but most of them do not know. The round ends with a cosmic scene that portrays the endlessness of God's knowledge and the infinite scope of his will in creation and recreation. This is presented as a sign of resurrection and renewal. Were all the trees on earth to become pens and the sea to become ink, replenished thereafter by 7 more seas, the words of God would not be exhausted. Truly, God is almighty, all-wise. Your creation and resurrection are but as the creation and resurrection of a single soul. Truly, God is all-hearing, all-seeing. The 4th round begins with a cosmic image that resonates deeply within the human heart. It is the image of the night as it lengthens and merges into the day, and the day as it lengthens and merges into the night. And it is the image of the sun and the moon, both subjected to their orbits, running their appointed courses until a time known only to their Creator, who is all-knowing of them and of mankind and of all their deeds. Do you not see that God causes the night to merge into the day, and the day to merge into the night, and has subjected the sun and the moon, each running its course for an appointed term, and that God is fully aware of what you do? This cosmic image is presented as a testimony to the truth of divine oneness. That is because God is the truth, and whatever they invoke besides him is falsehood, and because God is the Most High, the Most Great. The discourse then stirs the heart with another influence from God's blessings upon humanity's ships that sail across the seas by his grace, so that they may witness his signs. Do you not see that ships sail through the sea by the grace of God, so that he may show you of his signs? This is followed by confronting human nature with the logic of faith when it faces the terror of the sea, stripped of its arrogance and false sense of control. And when waves envelop them like canopies, they call upon God, sincere to him in religion. But when he delivers them to safety on land, some of them falter, and none reject our signs except every treacherous, ungrateful one. In light of the terror of the sea, a greater terror is invoked the day of resurrection, when even the bonds of kinship dissolve under its awe. O mankind, fear your sustainer, and beware of a day when no parent will avail their child, nor will a child avail their parent in the least. Truly, the promise of God is true. So do not let the life of this world deceive you, nor let the deceiver deceive you about God. At this point, with its awe-inspiring resonance, the surah concludes with a verse that encapsulates all its themes in a powerful, profound, and deeply moving cadence. Indeed, with God rests knowledge of the hour, and he sends down the rain and knows what is in the wombs. And no soul knows what it will earn tomorrow, nor does any soul know in which land it will die. Truly, God is all-knowing, all-aware. These 4 rounds, with their styles, influences, evidences and signs, are but a model of the Qur'an's method in addressing hearts, a method chosen by the creator of these hearts, who knows their innermost depths and the paths to their awakening, and who alone knows what truly reforms them, and by what means. And now we proceed to elaborate upon this concise statement, presenting these 4 rounds in 2 lessons, highlighting the connections and harmony between each pair of rounds. Alif, Lam, Mim, these are the verses of the wise book, a guidance and mercy for the doers of good, those who establish prayer and give zakah, and who have certainty in the hereafter. It is they who are upon guidance from their sustainer, and it is they who will prosper. The opening of the surah with the disjointed letters, Alif, Lam, Mim, followed by the declaration that these are the verses of the wise book, serves as a reminder that the verses of this book are composed of the very same letters familiar to human beings. This reflection is consistent with similar openings in other chapters of the Qur'an. Here the book is described as wise, for wisdom is a recurring theme in this surah. Thus, this description is perfectly suited to the surah's context, in line with the distinctive style of the Qur'an. Describing the book as wise casts upon it the aura of life and will, as if it were a living entity, imbued with wisdom in its speech and guidance, deliberate in its declarations, and purposeful in its aims. Indeed, this is the very essence of the Qur'an. It is infused with spirit, life, and movement. It possesses a unique personality, offering companionship to those who live with it, who dwell within its shade. They feel its intimacy, its responsiveness, a rapport akin to that between living beings, between friend and friend. This wise book or its verses is a guidance and mercy for the doers of good. Such is its essential, eternal state, to be a source of guidance and mercy for those who seek excellence in their deeds. It provides guidance that leads them to the straight path, one that no traveller ever loses their way upon. And it brings mercy, pouring into their hearts a sense of peace, comfort and tranquility. It leads them to success, goodness and prosperity while binding their hearts together with bonds of love and unity. It harmonizes their hearts with the laws of the universe in which they dwell, with the values, conditions and events that hearts attuned to guidance instinctively recognize and accept. The doers of good are described as those who establish prayer and give zakah, and who have certainty in the hereafter. The establishment of prayer, performed properly and on time, fulfills its intended purpose and leaves its imprint on emotions and behavior. It establishes an intimate connection between the heart and its sustainer, fostering a sense of closeness to God and a sweetness in devotion that makes the heart yearn for prayer. The giving of zakah elevates the soul above its inherent stinginess, while creating a system of communal life based on solidarity and cooperation. It fosters trust, assurance and bonds of affection among both the wealthy and the deprived, hearts untainted by extravagance or deprivation. Certainty in the hereafter ensures the heart's vigilance, its aspiration toward what lies with God, and its transcendence above the entanglements of earthly life. It drives the believer to remain mindful of God in both public and private, in great and small matters, and to strive for the station of Ihsan, about which the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Ihsan is to worship God as if you see him, and if you do not see him, then surely he sees you." And it is these doers of good for whom the book becomes a guidance and mercy. For their hearts open and transparent find comfort and reassurance in companionship with the Qur'an. They resonate with the light and guidance inherent in its nature, understanding its wise aims and objectives. Their souls align with its directives, sensing harmony, coherence, and clarity of purpose. Indeed, this Qur'an gives to every heart in accordance with that heart's sensitivity, openness and illumination, and in proportion to the love, longing and reverence with which the heart approaches it. It is as though it is a living being, responding to friendly hearts with affection and returning their yearning with intimacy and warmth. Thus, those who establish prayer and give zakah, and who have certainty in the hereafter, these are the ones upon guidance from their sustainer, and it is they who will prosper. To be guided is to prosper, for such a one walks in light, reaches their destination, is saved from misguidance in this world, and its consequences in the hereafter. They are at peace on their journey through this earth, their steps aligned with the celestial order and the laws of existence. They feel a sense of intimacy, comfort, and harmony with all that exists. These are the guided ones, illuminated by the book, and its verses the doers of good. Those who establish prayer, give zakah and have certainty in the hereafter. They are the successful ones in both this world and the next. But opposite to them stands another group. And among mankind are those who purchase idle talk to mislead from the path of God without knowledge and who take it in mockery. For such, there is a humiliating punishment, and when our verses are recited to him, he turns away arrogantly as if he had not heard them, as if there were a deafness in his ears. So give him tidings of a painful punishment. Idle talk encompasses all speech that distracts the heart, wastes time, and yields no benefit, contributing nothing worthy of the human being's role as a steward on this earth, charged with building it upon goodness, justice, and righteousness. Islam defines the nature, limits, and means of fulfilling this role, charting its course. The verse offers a universal depiction of a type of person found in every age and place. Certain narrations suggest that this verse was revealed in connection with a specific incident, that Al-Nada ibn al-Harith purchased books containing Persian myths, tales of heroes, and accounts of wars, and then sat along the paths leading to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, attempting to distract people from listening to the Qur'an by entertaining them with these stories. However, the verse's wording transcends this specific incident. It portrays a type of person whose traits have existed throughout history. And among mankind are those who purchase idle talk. They buy it with their wealth, their time, and their lives, squandering these precious resources on frivolity that consumes their fleeting years that cannot be regained. They purchase idle talk to mislead from the path of God without knowledge and to take it in mockery. Such a person is ignorant, heedless, and devoid of wisdom, yet malicious in intent, seeking to lead others astray from the path of God. They misguide themselves and others, expending their lives in frivolity. They are also ill-mannered, mocking God's path and the way he has ordained for human life. Thus the Quran addresses such people with both humiliation and warning before completing the picture. For such there is a humiliating punishment. The description of the punishment as humiliating is deliberate, in response to their lack of decorum and their mockery of God's straight path. The verse continues to complete the image. And when our verses are recited to him, he turns away arrogantly, as if he had not heard them, as if there were a deafness in his ears. This is a vivid, dynamic portrayal of the arrogant rejecter, scorning and dismissing the divine message. The Quran responds to this arrogance with an equally disdainful gesture, as if there were a deafness in his ears. This figurative deafness is the barrier that prevents them from hearing the verses of God. Otherwise, how could someone with hearing ignore such a noble message? The Quran follows this with an ironic, derisive remark. So give him tidings of a painful punishment. Tidings of punishment serve as a form of contemptuous sarcasm, befitting the haughty and scornful. In contrast to the fate of the disbelievers, the Quran speaks of the reward of the believers, those who were mentioned at the beginning of the surah. It elaborates on their success, which was briefly mentioned earlier. Indeed, those who believe and do righteous deeds, for them are gardens of bliss, wherein they will abide, as the true promise of God. And He is the Almighty, the Wise. Wherever reward is mentioned in the Quran, it is preceded by mention of righteous deeds coupled with faith. This is because the nature of this faith demands that it not remain a passive, dormant state within the heart. It is a living, active force that immediately stirs to life, manifesting itself in actions, behavior, and conduct. It translates its essence into visible effects in the world of reality, revealing what lies within the conscience. And as for those who have attained to faith and have fulfilled their faith with righteous deeds, for them there shall be gardens of bliss, wherein they shall abide forever. These gardens and this eternal abode are granted to them as the fulfillment of God's true promise. God's promise is indeed the ultimate truth, for such is the bounty of the Creator upon his servants, that he has made it incumbent upon himself to bestow goodness upon them as a reward for their own goodness towards themselves, not for his sake, for he is beyond need of any and all. He is the Almighty, the Wise, the one fully capable of fulfilling his promise, and wise in his creation, his promise, and its fulfillment. And the sign of his omnipotence, the proof of his wisdom, And the evidence for these truths conveyed in the context of the Surah, all of it finds its manifestation and testimony in this vast, magnificent universe. This is a universe so immense and awe-inspiring that no human being could ever claim to have created it, nor could anyone plausibly attribute its creation to any being other than God. It is a creation of such vastness, precision in its system, and harmony in its composition that it seizes the heart, overwhelms the intellect, and confronts innate human nature with an evident truth from which it cannot escape or turn away. It compels the soul to acknowledge the oneness of the great Creator and to recognize the folly of attributing equals to him and injustice to the clear and evident truth. He has created the heavens without any visible pillars to support them, and he has placed firm mountains upon the earth, lest it sway with you, and he has scattered upon it all manner of living creatures. And we sent down water from the skies and caused every noble kind of plant to grow therein. This is God's creation, so show me what those other than him have created. Nay, the wrongdoers are lost in manifest error. And these heavens, whether we perceive them as the celestial bodies, the stars, the galaxies, and the nebulae swimming through space, the mysteries and limits of which are known to none but God, or whether we see them as the vast dome perceived by the eye, whose true nature no one has been able to ascertain, these heavens remain a wondrous reality. Whether they are these or those, they encompass tremendous creations, massive and awe-inspiring, suspended without any visible supports. Wherever human sight roams, by night or by day, whether from near or far, these heavens are seen as the great canopy above. A mere contemplation of them with the naked eye without comprehending their true immensity, which can stagger the mind, is sufficient to stir the human soul, to cause it to tremble with awe before this boundless vastness. And then there is the astounding order that binds these creations in perfect harmony, the magnificent beauty that captivates the eye and holds it in delight, that draws the heart into an endless contemplation from which it cannot easily return. How then, when one comes to know that every one of these tiny glimmering points of light in the vast expanse of space may possess a mass many times greater than the earth on which we dwell, how much more does the heart tremble and the spirit bow in humility before the majesty of the one who created all this. And so, from this immense journey through the realms of the heavens, evoked by the statement, "He has created the heavens without any visible pillars to support them," the narrative draws the human heart back to the earth, to this small and humble speck of dust that does not even amount to a mote in the vastness of the cosmos. It brings us back to the earth, which human beings perceive as vast and boundless, though no single individual in their fleeting lifetime could traverse all its corners, even if they spent their entire life in ceaseless journeying across its surface. It brings us back to this earth so that we may look upon it with awakened senses, free from the dullness of familiarity and the weariness of repetition, and so that we may rediscover the wondrous nature of this small yet astonishing world. And he has placed firm mountains upon the earth, lest it sway with you. The mountains are referred to as firm anchors, and geologists tell us that they are formations in the crust of the earth, arising from the cooling and contraction of the earth's interior gases, which result in a reduction in volume. This contraction causes the crust to wrinkle, forming elevations and depressions in accordance with the internal contractions of the gases as they cool and shrink in volume here and there. Whether this theory holds true or not, the Quranic text affirms that the existence of these mountains serves to maintain the Earth's balance, preventing it from swaying, tilting, or trembling. It may well be that the geologist's theory is correct, and that the emergence of mountains in this manner preserves the Earth's equilibrium as the gases contract and the Earth's crust shrinks here and there. The elevations of the mountains may well balance out the depressions in the Earth's crust. In any case, God's word is supreme, and his word is the ultimate truth, and he has scattered upon it all manner of living creatures. And this is one of the great wonders of existence, the presence of life upon this earth, a mystery which no one to this day has claimed to comprehend or explain fully. Life, even in its simplest form, a single primitive cell, is an unfathomable marvel. How much greater then is the mystery when life becomes diversified, compounded, and multiplied into countless forms, species, families, and patterns that no human being can fully enumerate or grasp. Yet most people pass by these wonders with eyes closed and hearts veiled, as though they were ordinary and unremarkable things, unworthy of reflection. Meanwhile, they stand in awe and amazement before a device created by human hands, a simple, small, and rudimentary contraption when compared to a single living cell with its intricate and miraculous organization. And what of the more complex living beings, let alone the human being himself, whose body contains hundreds of astonishing chemical factories, countless storage and distribution centers, innumerable wireless stations for transmitting and receiving signals, and an array of complex functions whose secrets are known only to the all-knowing, the all-aware? And we sent down water from the skies and caused every noble kind of plant to grow therein. And the sending down of water from the skies is yet another of the cosmic wonders before which we pass heedlessly. This water which fills the riverbeds, overflows the lakes, and gushes forth from the springs, this water descends from the skies according to a precise and intricate system tied to the order of the heavens and the earth, and the relationships between their proportions, distances, and natures. And the sprouting of plants from the earth after the rainfall is yet another marvel, a marvel that defies human comprehension. It is the marvel of life, the marvel of diversity, and the marvel of inheritance, whereby the latent characteristics embedded in the tiny seed manifest themselves in the plant and the great tree that grows from it. Indeed, the study of the distribution of colours in a single flower from a single plant can draw the open heart into the depths of life and the depths of faith in God, the originator of all life. And the Quranic text affirms that God causes plants to grow in pairs, of every noble kind. This is a profound truth that modern science has only recently discovered through empirical study. Every plant possesses cells for fertilization, both male and female, which may exist together in a single flower, or in separate flowers on the same stem, or even on two separate trees. And fruits do not come into being without the meeting and fertilization of these complementary elements, just as it is the case with animals and human beings alike. And the description of pears as being noble casts a deliberate and profound shade in this context, making it fitting to be referred to as the creation of God. This elevates it in the minds of people, directing their attention to it, saying, "This is God's creation." Thus, he challenges them and their baseless claims, "Show me then what those other than him have created." And he follows this challenge with a fitting conclusion. Nay, the wrongdoers are lost in manifest error. What error and what greater wrong can there be than associating partners with God amidst this majestic and awe-inspiring cosmic panorama? At this powerful cadence, the first passage of the Surah reaches its moving and profound conclusion. After this, the Surah transitions into the second thematic passage, adopting a new mode, a narrative style interwoven with indirect guidance. Here it addresses the matter of gratitude to God alone, of exalting him above all association, and of the reality of the hereafter, along with the deeds and recompense that await therein, all through the medium of a story. And indeed we bestowed wisdom upon Luqman, be grateful to God. For whoever is grateful, he is but grateful for his own benefit. But whoever denies the truth truly, God is self-sufficient, ever praised. Luqman, whom the Quran has chosen as the voice to present the case for God's oneness and the hereafter, is a figure whose reality varies across traditions. Some say he was a prophet. Others say he was a righteous servant of God without prophethood, a view most widely held. He is said to have been an Abyssinian slave, or a Nubian, or even a judge among the children of Israel. But whoever Luqman may have been, the Quran affirms that he was a man to whom God granted wisdom, a wisdom whose essence and implication is gratitude to God. We bestowed wisdom upon Luqman, be grateful to God. This is a subtle Quranic directive, urging gratitude to God in emulation of this wise and chosen man whose story and teachings are being narrated. Alongside this implicit guidance lies another. Gratitude to God is a treasure, stored up and benefiting the grateful soul itself, for God is free of need. He is praiseworthy by his very nature, regardless of whether anyone among his creation praises him. For whoever is grateful, he is but grateful for his own benefit. But whoever denies the truth truly, God is self-sufficient, ever praised. Thus, the most foolish of fools is the one who turns away from wisdom and fails to store up such a treasure for himself. Next comes the issue of God's oneness, presented in the form of a heartfelt counsel from Luqman the wise to his son. And remember when Luqman said to his son, as he admonished him, "O my dear son, do not associate partners with God. Truly, associating partners with him is a grievous wrong." This is an admonition beyond reproach, for what could a father desire for his son other than his well-being? What could a father be to his son other than a sincere and loving counsellor? And here is Luqman the wise, forbidding his son from associating partners with God and justifying this command by stating that such association is a tremendous wrong. He affirms this truth twice, first by presenting the prohibition and its reason, and then by emphasizing it with the particle indeed and the emphatic truly. This then is the very truth that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was presenting to his people. Yet they argued with him, doubted his intentions, and feared that his call concealed a desire to strip them of power and elevate himself over them. But what of Luqman the wise, who presents this same truth to his own son, commanding him to abide by it? A father's advice to his child is above all suspicion, free from any ulterior motive. Indeed, it is the timeless truth voiced by every person whom God has gifted with wisdom, a truth aimed solely at pure goodness, with no other purpose. And this is the intended emotional impact. In the shade of this fatherly counsel to his son, the relationship between parents and children is portrayed in a tender and evocative manner. This portrayal is filled with compassion and gentleness, yet it establishes that the bond of faith takes precedence over even this most intimate of ties. And we enjoined upon man care for his parents. His mother bore him, increasing her weakness upon weakness, and his weaning is in 2 years. We said to man, "Be grateful to me and to your parents, to me is the final return. But if they strive to make you associate with me that of which you have no knowledge, do not obey them. Yet accompany them in this world with kindness, and follow the path of those who turn to me in devotion. Then to me will be your return, and I will inform you of what you used to do." The command to honor one's parents is repeated throughout the Qur'an and in the sayings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. In contrast, the command to parents to care for their children is mentioned only rarely and in specific contexts, such as the case of infanticide in pre-Islamic Arabia. This is because the innate human nature, fitra, ensures that parents instinctively care for their offspring. Fitra drives parents to nurture the next generation, safeguarding the continuation of life as God wills it. Parents pour their very bodies, nerves and lifetimes into their children, sacrificing all that is precious to them without complaint, without hesitation, and often without even realizing the magnitude of their sacrifice. Indeed, they do so with joy, as if they themselves were the recipients of this giving. Thus, fitra alone suffices to ensure the parent's devotion, while the child, in contrast, needs constant reminders to honor the parents who have expended their very lifeblood for his sake. No child, no matter how dedicated, can ever fully repay their parents for what they have given, even if they were to devote their entire life to them. This poignant image, his mother bore him, increasing her weakness upon weakness, and his weaning is in 2 years, evokes the nobility of this parental sacrifice. The mother in particular bears the greater share, offering it with an unparalleled tenderness, depth and care. It is narrated by Al-Hafiz Abu Bakr al-Bazar in his Musnad, with a chain of transmission from Buraidah, from his father, that a man came to the Prophet, peace be upon him, carrying his mother on his back while performing tawaf around the Kaaba. He asked the Prophet, "Have I repaid her?" The Prophet replied, "No, not even for a single groan of childbirth, not even a single groan." Such is the depth of what the mother endures, bearing her child in weakness upon weakness. In the shadow of this tender imagery, the text directs gratitude to God, the ultimate benefactor, and then to the parents, the secondary benefactors. Be grateful to me and to your parents. It ties this gratitude to the reality of the hereafter. To me is the final return, where the stored treasure of gratitude will avail its possessor. Yet the bond between parents and children, despite its tenderness and honor, remains secondary to the bond of faith. Thus, the Quranic directive continues, "But if they strive to make you associate with me that of which you have no knowledge, do not obey them. For here the duty of obedience ends, and the bond of faith takes precedence over all other ties." No matter how much effort the parents exert in urging their child to associate others with God, he is commanded to disobey them, for the ultimate right to obedience belongs to God alone. However, this difference in faith and the command to disobey do not negate the parents' right to kind treatment and companionship, yet accompany them in this world with kindness. For life on this earth is but a brief journey, insignificant compared to the eternal truth. And follow the path of those who turn to me in devotion. Then to me will be your return, and I shall inform you of what you used to do. Each shall be recompensed for their deeds, whether of gratitude or ingratitude, of association or pure devotion. It is narrated that these verses, along with those in Surah Al-Ankabut and Surah Al-Ahqaf, were revealed concerning Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas and his mother. This is mentioned in detail in my commentary on Surah Al-Ankabut in part 20. Some narrations also attribute them to Sa'd ibn Malik, as recorded by Al-Tabarani in Kitab al-Ashara, with his chain of transmission from Dawood ibn Abi Hind. However, the more authentic version is found in Sahih Muslim, narrated by Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas himself. In any case, the meaning is universally applicable in similar circumstances, establishing the proper order of bonds and duties. The bond with God is the foremost connection, and his right is the foremost obligation. The Quran reiterates and emphasizes this truth in various contexts and forms, so it may settle firmly in the heart of the believer, clear, decisive, and free from doubt or ambiguity. And after this digression, interjected amidst the context of Luqman's counsel to his son, the following passage of the counsel comes forth, proclaiming the reality of the hereafter with its meticulous reckoning and just recompense. Yet this truth is not presented in abstract form. Rather, it is conveyed within the vast expanse of the cosmic domain, in a vivid and moving portrayal that stirs the heart as it contemplates God's encompassing, awe-inspiring, delicate and precise knowledge. "O my son, if there be but the weight of a mustard seed, and it be hidden within a rock, or in the heavens, or in the earth, God will bring it forth." Indeed, God is subtle, all aware. No mere abstract statement of the precision of God's knowledge, of his boundless power, or of the exactness of his reckoning and the justice of his scales could match the profound effect of this vivid pictorial expression. Such is the grace of the Quran's miraculous style, with its exquisite artistry and deep resonance. A mustard seed, small, insignificant, lost, bearing neither weight nor value, hidden in a rock, embedded within its solid depths, unseen and unreachable. Or in the heavens, amidst the vast, boundless expanse, where even great, massive stars appear as mere specks adrift, or as particles wandering in the immensity of space. Or in the earth, buried amidst its soil and stones, unseen and unnoticed, God will bring it forth, for his knowledge encompasses it, and his power does not let it escape. Indeed, God is subtle, all aware, a concluding note that perfectly befits the hidden, delicate, and profound imagery. The imagination continues to follow that mustard seed into its deep, vast hiding places, marveling at God's knowledge that tracks it until the heart trembles and turns in reverence to the subtle, the all-aware of the unseen mysteries. And thus, beyond the imagery, the truth intended by the Quran is firmly established in the heart through this wondrous style. The narrative then proceeds with the account of Luqman's words to his son as he admonishes him. Here, Luqman continues to chart the steps of faith after its foundation has been firmly anchored in the conscience. After affirming belief in the one God, without ascribing any partner to him, and certainty in the hereafter, with no doubt about it, and trust in the justice of divine recompense, where not even the weight of a mustard seed escapes his reckoning. What comes next is the call to turn oneself to God through prayer, to turn to people by calling them to God, and to bear patiently the burdens and trials that inevitably accompany this call. O my son, establish prayer, and enjoin what is right, and forbid what is wrong, and bear patiently whatever befalls you. Verily this is of the firm resolve of matters. This then is the path of faith as it is laid out. The oneness of God, awareness of his watchfulness, aspiration toward what is with him, trust in his justice, and fear of his punishment. Then comes the transition to calling others, reforming their condition, commanding what is right, and forbidding what is wrong. And before all of this, there is the need for provision for the struggle against evil provision rooted in worship and turning to God through prayer. Next comes patience, to endure what inevitably afflicts the one who calls to God, the resistance of souls, their obstinacy, the deviation of hearts, and their turning away. There will be harm inflicted by tongues and hands, trials in wealth and trials in self, as the need arises. Verily, this is of the firm resolve of matters, a firm resolve that cuts off hesitation once determination and resolve have been set. Luqman's counsel, as narrated in the Qur'an, then transitions to the ethics of the one who calls to God. For calling to good does not permit arrogance toward people or haughtiness over them in the name of guiding them to good. And even more so, arrogance and haughtiness without any call to good are uglier and more reprehensible. And do not turn your cheek to people in scorn, nor walk upon the earth in insolence. Verily, God does not love every arrogant boaster. And be moderate in your walking and lower your voice. Verily the most odious of voices is the braying of donkeys. The term turn your cheek refers to a disease that afflicts camels, causing their necks to twist. The Quranic expression uses this term to denounce a behavior akin to this affliction. The arrogant, disdainful turning away of the face toward others, marked by pride and disdain. And walking upon the earth in insolence is to walk with conceit, vanity, and indifference toward others. It is an odious manner of walking, despised by God and by people alike. It reflects a diseased sense of self, expressed in a swaggering, boastful gait. Verily, God does not love every arrogant boaster. Following the prohibition of insolent walking, the Quran provides guidance for a balanced, purposeful manner of walking. And be moderate in your walking. Moderation here implies restraint, avoiding excess or wastefulness, and not squandering one's energy in strutting or swaying. It also conveys purpose, a walk directed toward a meaningful goal without hesitation, affectation, or pretense, but proceeding with simplicity and steadfastness. And lowering one's voice is a mark of decorum, self-assurance, and confidence in the truth of one's words and the integrity of one's character. For only the ill-mannered, the insecure, or those who doubt the worth of their words or themselves resort to shouting and harshness in speech, attempting to mask their uncertainty with loudness and aggression. The Quranic style condemns such behavior, portraying it in a repugnant and detestable image that evokes ridicule and disdain. Verily, the most odious of voices is the braying of donkeys. Here the Quran paints a laughable, contemptible scene, evoking mockery and aversion. One can scarcely imagine this grotesque depiction, this braying sound, without a sense of derision and loathing. The brilliance of the Quranic expression renders this image unforgettable, leaving an indelible impression of the unattractiveness of such behavior. And thus ends the second passage. Having addressed the first issue through this remarkable variety of presentation and renewal of style. Have you not seen that God has made subservient to you all that is in the heavens and all that is on earth, and has lavished upon you his blessings, both outward and inward? Yet among people there are those who wrangle about God without knowledge and without guidance and without an enlightening book. 20. And when they are told, follow what God has revealed, they reply, nay, we shall follow what we found our forefathers believing in. Even though Satan was inviting them to the suffering of the blazing flame. 21. And whoever surrenders his face to God while striving to do good, such has indeed grasped the most trustworthy handhold, and with God rests the ultimate outcome of all things. 22. But as for those who deny the truth, let not their denial grieve you. Unto us is their return, and we shall inform them of all that they did. Surely God is fully aware of what is in the hearts. 23. We shall let them enjoy themselves for a little while, but then we shall drive them to a harsh punishment. 24. And if you were to ask them, who created the heavens and the earth, they would surely say, God. Say, all praise is due to God. Yet most of them do not understand. 25. To God belongs all that is in the heavens and the earth. Truly, God is self-sufficient, worthy of all praise. 26. If all the trees on earth were pens, and the sea with 7 more seas to replenish it were ink, the words of God would not be exhausted. Verily, God is almighty, wise. 27. Your creation and your resurrection are but as a single soul. Truly, God is all-hearing, all-seeing. 28. Have you not seen that God causes the night to merge into the day, and causes the day to merge into the night, and has made the sun and the moon subservient, each running its course for an appointed term? And indeed God is fully aware of all that you do. And 29. This is so because God alone is the ultimate truth, and whatever they invoke besides him is falsehood, and because God alone is the most high, the most great. 30. Have you not seen how the ships sail through the sea by God's grace, so that he may show you some of his signs? Surely in this are signs for all who are patient and grateful. 31. And when waves like canopies cover them, they call upon God, sincere in their devotion to him. But when he brings them safely to land, some of them remain hesitant. Yet none denies our signs except the perfidious and ungrateful. 32. O mankind, be conscious of your sustainer, and fear the day when no parent will avail their child, nor will a child avail their parent in the least. Truly, God's promise is true. So let not the life of this world deceive you, nor let the deceiver delude you about God. 33. Verily, with God alone rests the knowledge of the hour. He sends down the rain, and he knows what is in the wombs. And no soul knows what it will earn tomorrow, nor does any soul know in which land it will die. Truly, God is all-knowing, all-aware. 34. The third discourse begins with a new rhythm. It opens by presenting the cosmic evidence, tied directly to human existence, intertwined with their interests, their lives, their sustenance, and connected to God's blessings, both manifest and hidden. Blessings that they enjoy without shame, even as they dispute the very existence of God, the bountiful, the gracious, the giver of all. The argument then continues along this rhythm, reaffirming the central truth that was already addressed in the first and second discourses. Do you not see that God has subjugated to you all that is in the heavens and on earth, and has lavished his blessings upon you, both visible and invisible? Yet among people are those who dispute about God without knowledge, without guidance, and without any illuminating book. And when they are told, follow what God has revealed, they say, nay, we shall follow what we found our forefathers adhering to. Even though Satan might be calling them to the suffering of the blazing fire, this recurring theme in the Qur'an, presented in varied forms, appears fresh and new each time, for this universe is ever renewed in the human consciousness, whenever the heart casts its gaze upon it, ponders its mysteries, and reflects upon its endless wonders. The human lifespan is far too short to fully explore it, yet with every glance, the universe reveals itself anew, with fresh colours and a rhythm that resonates differently each time. Here, the narrative presents the universe from the perspective of its harmony with human needs on Earth, its perfect alignment with human existence. This harmony decisively proves that it cannot be an accident or a coincidence. It compels recognition of the one will that drives and arranges all things, the will that coordinates the vastness of this cosmos with the needs of human beings on this small, insignificant planet called Earth. Indeed, the Earth itself is no more than a minute speck in the vastness of the universe, and the human being within this Earth is a fragile, small creature, weak when measured against the size of the planet, and insignificant when compared to the forces and forms of life, both animate and inanimate, that inhabit it. In terms of size, weight, and physical power, the human being is almost nothing, yet God's grace upon this being, his breathing into it of his spirit, and his honouring of it above much of his creation, This grace alone has granted the human being significance in the grand order of the universe. It has made God prepare for him the ability to harness much of the energy, forces, treasures, and bounties of this vast cosmos. This is the subjugation referred to in the verse among the visible and hidden blessings of God. For the mere existence of the human being is itself a blessing and a grace from God. The faculties, abilities, and talents bestowed upon him are blessings. The sending of prophets and the revelation of scriptures are greater blessings and grander favors. And prior to all of this is the connection of the human being to God's Spirit, a supreme grace and favor. Every breath he takes, every beat of his heart, every sight his eyes capture, every sound his ears hear, every thought that stirs in his mind, and every idea his intellect processes, these are all blessings that he could never attain on his own, were it not for the grace of God. God has subjugated for this human being all that is in the heavens, granting him the ability to benefit from the rays of the sun, the light of the moon, the guidance of the stars, the rain, the air, and the birds that traverse the skies. And he has subjugated for him all that is on earth. This is even more apparent and easier to observe. He has made the human being his steward over this wide and expansive dominion, enabling him to utilize the treasures of the earth. Some of these treasures are visible while others are hidden. Some are known to humanity while others are only perceived through their effects. Still, there are others whose secrets remain unknown, even as humanity benefits from their power without understanding them. At every moment, day and night, the human being is immersed in God's abundant blessings, blessings so vast in scope and so diverse in form that he cannot fully comprehend them, nor could he ever enumerate them. Despite all this, there remains a group of people who neither give thanks, nor remember, nor reflect upon what surrounds them. They fail to recognize or affirm the gracious, generous benefactor. Yet among people are those who dispute about God without knowledge, without guidance, and without any illuminating book. Such disputes are perplexing and repugnant in the shadow of such overwhelming cosmic evidence and amidst the abundance of God's blessings. Their denial and rejection appear ugly and vile, repulsive to the innate human disposition, and horrifying to the conscience. This group of people disputing the truth of God and the relationship between creation and its creator seem to possess a corrupt nature, unresponsive to the call of the universe surrounding them. They are ungrateful for the blessings they enjoy and shamelessly argue against the one who has bestowed these blessings upon them. Their stance becomes all the more grotesque, as it relies neither on knowledge, nor on reasoned guidance, nor on any illuminating scripture. And when they are told, "Follow what God has revealed," they say, "Nay, we shall follow what we found our forefathers adhering to." This is their sole argument, their strange and feeble proof, rigid, fossilized imitation that neither rests on knowledge nor depends on thought. It is the very imitation that Islam seeks to liberate them from, awakening their intellects to reflect and unleashing within them the light of awareness and understanding. Yet they stubbornly refuse to break free from the chains of a misguided past, clinging instead to their shackles and bonds. Islam is freedom of conscience, the stirring of the soul, the yearning for light, and a new, liberated way of life, unshackled from the constraints of blind imitation and stagnation. Yet this group resists such freedom, repelling the guidance of their souls. They dispute God's truth without knowledge, guidance, or scripture. Thus the Qur'an mocks and derides them, subtly pointing to the consequences of their dubious stance. Even though Satan might be calling them to the suffering of the blazing fire, this stance is nothing but an invitation from Satan, leading them inevitably to the torment of the blazing fire. Will they persist in such a course even if it ends in this dreadful fate? This is a wake-up call, a terrifying warning, following the subtle and magnificent cosmic evidence. Amidst this obstinate argumentation, which rests on no knowledge, guidance, or scripture, the Quran directs attention to the conduct that ought to follow, from contemplating the cosmic signs and abundant blessings. But whoever submits his whole being to God while striving to do good has indeed grasped the most trustworthy handhold, and with God rests the final outcome of all matters. This is absolute submission to God accompanied by excellence in action and behavior. It is submission in the truest sense, with complete surrender to God's will, compliance with his commands and guidance, and trust in his mercy. It is a serene acceptance of his care, a heartfelt contentment, a tranquility of the soul. This state is symbolized by the phrase, submitting one's face to God, for the face is the noblest and most honored part of the human being. And whoever submits his whole being to God while striving to do good has indeed grasped the most trustworthy handhold. This most trustworthy handhold is the unbreakable bond between the believer's heart and his sustainer, a bond that neither falters nor fails. It steadies the believer in prosperity, shields him in adversity, and guides him through the darkness of life's trials, amidst storms and tempests. This bond represents a deep-seated peace in accepting God's decree, a resilience that keeps the soul calm and steadfast in the face of challenges, unshaken by blessings or hardships. And with God rests the final outcome of all matters. To him is the ultimate return, the final destination. How fitting, then, for the human being to submit to him from the very beginning, to traverse the path toward him with trust, guidance, and light. But as for those who deny the truth, let not their denial grieve you. To us is their return, and we shall inform them of what they have done. Indeed, God is fully aware of what lies within their hearts. We grant them enjoyment for a little while, then we shall drive them to a harsh torment. Such is the end of those who deny the truth, deceived by the fleeting pleasures of worldly life. Their fate in this world is to be of no consequence to the prophet, peace be upon him, or to the believers. But as for those who deny the truth, let not their denial grieve you. For their denial is insignificant, too trivial to cause grief. Their fate in the hereafter is equally insignificant in the grand scheme of things. They are in God's grasp, they cannot escape him. He will hold them accountable for their deeds, for he knows well what they conceal within their hearts. To us is their return, and we shall inform them of what they have done. Indeed, God is fully aware of what lies within their hearts. The worldly enjoyment that deceives them is but a brief respite, fleeting and worthless. We grant them enjoyment for a little while. But its end is terrifying and dreadful, as they are driven to a torment they cannot escape. Then we shall drive them to a harsh torment. The vivid description of the torment as harsh magnifies its severity, while the image of being driven conveys the helplessness of the deniers as they are forced towards their fate. How stark the difference between this fate and the serenity of those who submit their faces to God, holding firmly to the most trustworthy handhold, journeying toward their sustainer with peace of mind and tranquility of soul. The Qur'an then confronts them with the logic of their innate nature, which aligns with the greater logic of the cosmos. When faced with the question of creation, they cannot help but acknowledge the truth. And if you were to ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they would surely say, God. Say, praise be to God. But most of them do not understand. To God belongs all that is in the heavens and the earth. Truly, God is free of all want, worthy of all praise. When the human being consults his innate nature and listens to his conscience, he cannot deny this clear and evident truth. The heavens and the earth stand before him, their dimensions, movements, properties and attributes all meticulously measured and balanced. Their design reveals intent, and their harmony reveals purpose. They are creation, no one claims to have created them, nor does anyone attribute their creation to another deity. They could not have arisen by themselves, nor could they have come into being without deliberate planning and a conscious creator. To suggest otherwise is not worthy of serious consideration, for the human nature from its depths instinctively rejects such notions. And those who oppose the doctrine of divine oneness, confronting the messenger of God, peace and blessings, be upon him with fierce argumentation, could never falsify the innate truth embedded in their own nature when faced with the cosmic evidence manifest in the existence of the heavens and the earth. These stand before the eye, needing no more than a mere glance to affirm their reality. Thus they would never falter in their response if asked, who created the heavens and the earth? Their answer would invariably be, God. Therefore God directs his messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to respond to this acknowledgement with gratitude to God. Say, praise be to God. Praise be to God for the clarity of truth within human nature. Praise be to God for this compelled admission in the presence of the overwhelming cosmic evidence. And praise be to God in all circumstances. The argument is then set aside, and another observation is made. But most of them do not know, and thus they argue and dispute, unaware of the logic of their own innate disposition and the signs of this universe pointing to its magnificent Creator. In light of this innate recognition of God as the Creator of the heavens and the earth, the absolute ownership of God over all that exists in the heavens and the earth is also affirmed, whether it is subjugated to human use or remains beyond human reach. Yet despite this ownership, he is utterly self-sufficient, needing nothing of the heavens and the earth, and praiseworthy in his essence, even if no one offers him praise. To God belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. Indeed, God is the self-sufficient, the praiseworthy. Now, this passage concludes with a majestic cosmic scene symbolizing God's boundless richness, his infinite knowledge, his limitless power of creation and renewal, and his unrestricted will, which knows no bounds. And if all the trees on earth were pens, and the sea with 7 more seas to replenish it were ink, the words of God would not be exhausted. Truly, God is almighty wise. Your creation and your resurrection are like that of a single soul. Truly, God is all-hearing, all-seeing. This is a scene drawn from the limited knowledge and experiences of humankind, so that they might grasp in some measure the meaning of God's unbounded will, a concept beyond the scope of their finite understanding, without such imagery and representation. Human beings record their knowledge, document their words, and issue their decrees by writing them down with pens, once made from reeds and bamboo dipped into ink, which barely amounts to the contents of a small inkwell or bottle. And here it is illustrated for them. Imagine if all the trees on earth were turned into pens, and all the seas into ink, replenished by 7 more seas. And the scribes sat down to record the ever-renewing words of God, words expressing his infinite knowledge and boundless will. What would happen? The pens would be depleted and the ink would run dry, the trees would vanish and the seas would be exhausted. Yet the words of God would remain inexhaustible, endless, eternal. It is the finite confronting the infinite, and no matter how vast the finite may seem, it will always come to an end, while the infinite remains undiminished, untouched by any limitation. The words of God do not end because his knowledge is without limit, his will is ceaseless, and his decree glorified be he is eternal, bound by neither restrictions nor constraints. And so the trees and seas fade away, life and matter retreat, forms and conditions dissolve, leaving the human heart standing in awe before the majesty of the eternal Creator, unchanging, unyielding, never absent before the power of the Creator, the mighty, the wise. Indeed, God is almighty, wise. Amid this reverent scene comes the final note of this passage, drawing from it a cosmic proof of the ease with which creation and resurrection occur. Your creation and your resurrection are like that of a single soul. Truly, God is all-hearing, all-seeing. The will that brings creation into being with a mere command is indifferent to numbers, whether one or many, for it expends no finite effort in creating each individual, nor does it repeat that effort with each one. Thus, creating one is no different from creating millions, and resurrecting a single soul is no harder than resurrecting multitudes. It is but a word, a decree. His command, when he wills a thing, is only to say to it, be, and it is. And accompanying this power are knowledge and awareness, encompassing creation, resurrection, and all that lies beyond judgment, and the precise reckoning of deeds. Truly, God is all-hearing, all-seeing. The final passage addresses the same fundamental issues as the preceding 3, affirming that God is the ultimate truth, that all others invoked besides him are falsehood, and that worship must be devoted to God alone. It also emphasizes the reality of the last day, a day when no parent will avail their child, nor any child avail their parent. Alongside these themes, it introduces fresh, evocative imagery, presenting them within the vast expanse of the cosmos. Do you not see that God merges the night into the day and merges the day into the night, and has subjugated the sun and the moon, each running its course for a term appointed? And that God is fully aware of all that you do? This is because God is the truth, and whatever they invoke besides him is falsehood, and because God is the Most High, the Most Great. The merging of night into day and day into night, their gradual loss and gain as the seasons change, is indeed a wondrous phenomenon. Yet the familiarity born of its constant repetition dulls the senses of most people, rendering them blind to its marvel. This unerring regularity, this flawless cycle that never falters, is a miracle in itself. Only God is capable of establishing and maintaining such a system. And recognizing this truth requires nothing more than observing this ceaseless, unwavering cycle. The relationship between this cycle and the orderly movements of the sun and moon is clear. The subjugation of the sun and moon is an even greater marvel than the alternation of night and day. None but God, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, could accomplish this subjugation. He alone determines their courses and knows the precise duration of their movements until the appointed time. Alongside the truths of night and day and the subjugation of the sun and moon, two prominent cosmic realities, another truth of equal magnitude is affirmed, and God is fully aware of all that you do. Thus, this unseen reality is placed alongside visible cosmic truths, bound to them in meaning and significance. These three truths are then followed by the central truth upon which all others rest, the truth from which all realities arise, and the truth addressed throughout this passage, now supported by this evidence. This is because God is the truth, and whatever they invoke besides him is falsehood, and because God is the Most High, the Most Great. This eternal, unchanging cosmic order is evidence that God is the truth, and that whatever they invoke besides him is falsehood. This grand truth, the foundation of all truth, is the source of existence itself. For it is God's being as the truth, glorified be he, that upholds this universe, preserves it, governs it, and sustains its stability, coherence, and harmony as long as he wills it to exist. This is because God is the truth. Everything else changes, everything else fluctuates, everything else is subject to increase and decrease, strength and weakness, growth and decay, emergence and disappearance. Everything else comes into being after it was not and vanishes after it has been. He alone, glorified be he, is eternal, unchanging, unyielding, never fading. And yet, even after reflecting on the words, "This is because God is the truth," there remains in the heart a residue of meaning that words cannot convey, a feeling beyond the reach of human expression. It is a truth that the heart perceives, the conscience feels, and the entire human being senses, yet no expression can fully capture. And likewise, and because God is the Most High, the Most Great. None but he is truly Most High, none but he is truly Most Great. Have I said anything that conveys the fullness of what stirs within me before this wondrous Quranic expression? I feel that every human articulation of such supreme truths diminishes rather than enhances them, and that the Quranic expression, as it is, remains the sole, divinely inspired and unparalleled expression. The Quranic narrative, after painting this cosmic scene and evoking this deeply stirring touch upon the human soul, transitions to another scene, one drawn from the familiar realities of human life, the sight of ships sailing upon the sea by God's grace. In this scene, humanity is confronted with the logic of its innate nature when faced with the immensity and peril of the sea, stripped of all false notions of power, arrogance, and pride. Do you not see that the ships sail on the sea by God's favour, so that he may show you some of his signs? Truly, in this there are signs for all who are steadfast, who are deeply grateful. And when waves, like shadows of clouds, overwhelm them, they call upon God, sincere in their faith in him alone. But once he brings them safely to land, some of them remain half-hearted. Yet none deny our signs except those who are utterly treacherous, utterly ungrateful. The ships sail upon the sea in accordance with the laws that God has placed within creation, in the sea, in the ships, in the winds, in the earth, and in the heavens. The unique properties of these creations are what allow the ships to sail without sinking or coming to a standstill. If any of these properties were to be disrupted, even slightly, the ships would no longer sail upon the sea. If the density of water or the material of the ships were compromised, if the atmospheric pressure upon the ocean's surface changed, if the currents of water and air shifted, if the temperature exceeded the threshold that keeps water as water and the currents of air and water within their proper bounds, if any one of these were to be altered even slightly, the ships would no longer traverse the sea. And beyond all this, it is God alone who safeguards and protects the ships as they glide upon the surging waves amidst storms and tempests. There is no protector for them but God. They sail by His grace and favour in every circumstance, and they carry too His grace and favour in what they bear. The expression, so that He may show you some of His signs, encompasses both meanings, that these ships are themselves a sign of His grace, and that they carry within them the blessings of His grace. These signs are laid bare for all to see. They are neither hidden nor obscure. Truly in this there are signs for all who are steadfast, who are deeply grateful. For those who remain steadfast in hardship and grateful in ease, those two states that continually alternate in the human condition. And yet people neither endure with patience nor show gratitude. When hardship befalls them, they cry out in desperation. When God delivers them from hardship, few among them offer thanks. And when waves, like shadows of clouds, overwhelm them, they call upon God, sincere in their faith in Him alone. In the face of such danger, as the waves rise over them like dark shadows, and the ships drift like fragile feathers upon the vast tumultuous sea, all false notions of power and might fall away. The illusion of strength that blinds the heart in times of ease is stripped bare, and the veil that separates humanity from its innate nature and its Creator is lifted. Once these barriers collapse, and the soul is exposed in its pure, unadorned state, it turns instinctively to its sustainer, to its maker, directing itself wholly to Him. It dedicates its faith to Him alone, discarding all rivals and rejecting all false attachments. And they call upon God, sincere in their faith in Him alone. But once He brings them safely to land, some of them remain half-hearted. These are the ones who are not swept away by ease and security into total heedlessness and carelessness. They remember and give thanks, even if they fall short of fulfilling the full measure of gratitude owed to God. The highest state they attain is to remain moderate in their acknowledgement and remembrance of Him. Yet none deny our signs except those who are utterly treacherous, utterly ungrateful. The treacherous who betray every covenant, and the ungrateful who deny all blessings. This intensification of the description, utter treachery, utter ingratitude, is fitting here, for it addresses those who reject God's signs even after witnessing these cosmic scenes and the pure, unambiguous logic of their innate nature. And in the context of the immense peril of the sea danger that strips souls bare of the arrogance of power, knowledge and ability, and casts aside all false barriers, leaving them face to face with the truth of their nature, the Qur'an reminds them of an even greater peril. It reminds them of the day so immense that, in comparison, the terrors of the sea seem small and insignificant. It is the day that severs the bonds of kinship and blood ties, that preoccupies the parent from their child and separates the newborn from their parent. On that day, every soul will stand alone, stripped of all support and comfort, alienated from all closeness and connection. O mankind, be conscious of your sustainer and fear a day when no parent will avail their child, nor will a child avail their parent in the least. Truly, God's promise is true. So do not let the life of this world deceive you, nor let the deceiver delude you about God. The terror here is a psychological terror measured by its immense impact on hearts and souls. What could sever the bonds of kinship and blood ties, the connections between parent and child, leaving every soul to fend for itself, unable to benefit another? What could reduce all relationships to nothing, rendering no one able to help another except a terror unlike anything known to humanity? Thus, The call to be mindful of God comes in its proper place, where it is most likely to elicit a response. The reality of the hereafter is presented against the backdrop of this overwhelming terror, ensuring that it resonates deeply within the hearts of those who hear it. Truly, God's promise is true. His promise neither fails nor falters, and there is no escape from this overwhelming day, no evasion of its precise reckoning and just recompense. On that day, neither parent can avail their child, nor can any child avail their parent. So do not let the life of this world deceive you. Do not be misled by its fleeting pleasures, its diversions, or its distractions, for it is but a temporary respite, a test to determine who is worthy of the ultimate reward. Nor let the deceiver delude you about God. Whether it be the pleasures of this world that distract, the preoccupations that cause forgetfulness, or the whispers of Satan that tempt the soul, there are many forms of deception. The temptation of wealth is a deceiver, as is the arrogance of knowledge, the illusion of longevity, the intoxication of power, and the allure of authority. Every impulse of desire is a deceiver. Every fleeting whim is a deceiver. Only mindfulness of God and the awareness of the hereafter can shield the heart from all deception. In the concluding passage of this section, and indeed of the Surah itself, the Qur'an paints its final, awe-inspiring image. Against the backdrop of this overwhelming scene, it delivers its final, deeply resonant cadence, portraying God's all-encompassing knowledge and humanity's utter limitation before the unseen. It affirms the central truth that permeates the Surah in all its parts, bringing it forth in one of the Qur'an's unparalleled moments of vivid imagery. Truly, with God alone rests knowledge of the hour. He sends down the rain, and He alone knows what is in the wombs. And no soul knows what it will earn tomorrow, nor does any soul know in which land it will die. Truly, God is all-knowing, all-aware. God, in His infinite wisdom, has made the hour a mystery known only to Him, so that humanity may remain in a perpetual state of vigilance, perpetually striving to prepare for it. For the hour may come suddenly at any moment, leaving no room for delay in readiness or in gathering provisions for the soul. He alone sends down the rain in accordance with His wisdom, in the measure He wills. Though humanity, through experience and measurement, may predict its arrival, they cannot create or command the causes that bring it forth. The Quran declares that it is God who sends down the rain, for He alone originates the cosmic forces that form it and sustain it. Thus, God's role in the rain is one of absolute power and creation, as the text clearly conveys, and He alone knows what is in the wombs. His knowledge of what the wombs contain is as unique as His knowledge of the hour. It is He alone who knows with absolute certainty the state of what is in the womb at every moment, and every stage of what is to be and what is not, of what is carried and what is lost. He alone knows the gender of the child at the moment the sperm and egg unite, when no one else can discern anything about it. He knows the features, the characteristics, the state, and the potential of the unborn, all that remains hidden from human sight. And no soul knows what it will earn tomorrow. Whether it will earn good or evil, benefit or harm, ease or hardship, health or illness, obedience or sin, this is the unseen, veiled in mystery. Nor does any soul know in which land it will die. This, too, lies beyond the impenetrable veil of the unseen. And thus the human soul stands before these veils, powerless and humbled, confronted by the reality of its limited knowledge and its evident inability. All pretense of knowledge and understanding falls away, and humanity comes to realize that they have been given but a little knowledge. Beyond the veil lies a vast expanse of the unknown that no human can penetrate. Even if they were to know all else, they would still stand before this veil, unable to know what tomorrow holds or where their final resting place will be. At this point, the human soul humbles itself, bowing before God in reverence and awe. The Quranic narrative presents these deeply moving truths, touching the human heart in a vast and infinite expanse, a canvas that stretches across time and space, encompassing the present reality, the near future, the distant unseen, the thoughts of the soul and the leaps of the imagination. From the distant hour to the rain falling from the heavens, to the hidden contents of the womb, to tomorrow's unknown fate, to the place where life will end, it is a vast and expansive panorama. Yet after extending its reach in all directions, the Quranic imagery narrows to a single point, the unfathomable mystery of the unseen. It leaves humanity standing before a small, tightly closed window, a slit no wider than the eye of a needle. Were this slit to open even slightly, the near and the far would merge, and the hidden would be revealed. But it remains closed to humanity, for it lies beyond human capacity and knowledge. It belongs solely to God, who reveals only what he wills and in the measure he wills. Truly, God is all-knowing, all-aware. None but him possesses such knowledge or awareness. And thus, the surah concludes as if it had taken the heart on a vast journey, a journey through immense distances, profound depths, and infinite horizons. The heart returns from this journey, its steps slow and deliberate, laden with the weight of all it has witnessed, the enormity of all it has carried, and the depth of all it has pondered and reflected upon within these realms, scenes, and lives. And yet this surah spans no more than 34 verses. Blessed is God, the creator of hearts, the revealer of this Qur'an, a healing for all that lies within the chest, a guidance and mercy for the believers.